Hello everyone, welcome to the NEET work session on structure of atom chapter. So in this video we look at some important models of questions from the atomic structure or structure of atom chapter. Okay, now those who are looking at this video can also take a look at our past year NEET question series on structure of atom. We have exhaustively covered the questions that have come in All India Pre-Medical Test or NEET over the last 30 odd years. So you can take a look at that so that you will get a comprehensive idea on what to expect from this chapter in the NEET. So we'll start with the first question. Look at this. For how many orbitals the quantum numbers n equal to 3, L is equal to 2, m is equal to plus 2 are possible? Obviously they are asking in an atom. So in an atom, for how many orbitals this set, they are fixing a set. Okay, so let us just look at it now. So n is equal to 3 means what? We are sitting in the third orbit or the third shell. Okay, and in the third shell, L can have what all values? L can have value 0, L can have value 1, L can have value 2. L is equal to means what? This represents the D subshell, isn't it? Okay, so the moment we say n is equal to 3, L is equal to 2, it means what? We are in the third orbit D subshell. For L is equal to 2, we can have what are the possible values of m? M can be minus 2, m can be minus 1, m can be 0, m can be plus 1, m can be plus 2. These are the possible values for the magnetic quantum number. Each of these magnetic quantum numbers, right, what do they represent? They will represent an orbital. Because how many orbitals are there in a D subshell? We will be having 5 orbitals, isn't it? So if you say m equal to plus 2, that represents basically what? That represents one orbital. What does it represent? One orbital present where? Present in the 3D subshell of the atom. Okay, so present in the 3D subshell. So which means for that given combination, n is equal to 3, principal quantum number 3, azimuthal quantum number 2, and magnetic quantum number plus 2. What is that combination representing? It is representing just one orbital. Not only here, like in any question, whenever they give a combination of a principal quantum number, an azimuthal quantum number, a magnetic quantum number, this combination is given means what is it representing? It represents the identity of an orbital. It represents identity of an orbital. Okay, so inside that orbital there will be two electrons. The identity of each of the electrons will be given. The differentiation will be coming from the spin quantum number s. For one of them, if we are assigning, because spin quantum number can have two values, right? Either plus half or minus half. For one of the electrons, we assign the spin quantum number to be plus half, means other will have minus half, like that. So the answer for this is what? 1. So with that combination, we will be having how many orbitals? There will be only one orbital, because that's set, right? Whenever in any atom we give the combination of principal quantum number, azimuthal quantum number, and magnetic quantum number, that combination is referring to what? It is representing the identity of an orbital. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. This is a question about the electronic configuration. Which one of the following pairs of ions has the same electronic configuration? So here, especially with regard to the these elements, from scandium, chromium, iron, cobalt, manganese. So we'll see in the periodic classification of elements, we'll be calling these set of elements as what? We'll call them as the D block elements. Okay, so yeah, coming to here, right? So what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to find which of the following pairs of ions has same electronic configuration. See, before we go to the ions, let us list down what are these elements given. So what are the elements given to us? Scandium is there. Okay, then after scandium there will be chromium. So scandium atomic number is 21, chromium atomic number is 24. Then manganese atomic number is 25. Then iron atomic number is 26. Okay, then cobalt atomic number is 27. Okay, so these are the elements. Now here obviously we have to look at when they say chromium, so we'll just go one by one option. Chromium 3 plus means what? Chromium, so 24 electrons. 3 plus means we remove 3 electrons, means it will be what? 21. What about Fe 3 plus? Iron is having 26. From there we remove 3 electrons, means it will become 23. So this combination is not having equal number of electrons, so they cannot be having same electronic configuration. They should be having what? Equal number of electrons, right? Look at option 2. Option 2 is what? Fe3 plus. Iron is 26. 3 plus means we remove 3 electrons, it becomes 23. Okay, then Mn2 plus. Manganese atomic number is 25. We remove 2 electrons, means it becomes 23. We can see here it is having same number of electrons. We can go to the other options also and check it out. Option C is what? Fe3 plus. Fe3 plus, again, what is the number of electrons in Fe3 plus? It will be 23. Why? Because 26 minus 3. Okay. Then cobalt 3 plus. Cobalt is having 27 electrons, right? From that we remove 3 electrons, means it will become 24. So here also it is not equal number of electrons. Look at option D. What is option D? Scandium 3 plus. Scandium is having 21 electrons. In that we remove 3 electrons, means it will become 18. Okay. Then chromium 3 plus. Chromium is having 24. From that we remove 3 electrons, means it will become how much? 21. So this is also not matching. Equal number of electrons they are not having. Okay. So the combination that is having equal number of electrons and also will have same electronic configuration will be what? Will be the Fe3 plus and Mn2 plus. That combination is having equal number of electrons and will be having same electronic configuration. So the correct answer for this is option B. Next we look at question 3. Which of the following is the electronic configuration of copper 2 plus? So copper 2 plus, we have to write down what is the electronic configuration. Okay, so here we are referring to what? The electronic configuration of the cation. Now in the theory videos also we talked about it. Before we look at the electronic configuration of cation, we must look at what is the electronic configuration of the respective atom of the element, which is copper. So copper atomic number is 29. So copper will have abnormal electronic configuration, argon 4s1 3d10, like in the 3d series, right? So in periodic classification we will talk about this 3d series, like that we will call. Okay, so the elements from scandium to zinc, right? So scandium, then titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc. Okay, so all these elements we'll call them as what? The 3D series. So in this chromium and copper will have abnormal electronic arrangement. Chromium will be having argon 4s1 3d5 and copper will be having argon 4s1 3d10. Okay, so because of the extra stability of the half filled D structure and fully filled D structure, that is why we have abnormal arrangement. Okay, now when we say copper 2 plus, first we should remove one electron to form copper plus. Where we will start removing electrons from? We will be removing electrons from the outermost shell. So here if you observe it, right, so what is the outermost shell here? It is the fourth shell, isn't it? So we'll have to remove electron. There is only one electron in 4s. We remove it, means it becomes what? Argon 3d10. This is the electronic arrangement of copper plus. Okay, now copper plus, if you look at what is the expanded arrangement, what is it? Argon means what? 1s2 2s2 2p6 3s2 3p6. This is argon. Check it, 18 electrons. Then argon 3d10 means what? After this we will have 3d10. This is the arrangement of copper plus. So here if you want to remove one more electron from copper plus, that is when we can form copper 2 plus. We have to remove electrons from the outermost shell. Now what is the outermost shell here? It is the third shell. So here what is the outermost shell? Because there is no fourth shell now, there is only third shell. So comparatively, when we are removing electron from the third shell, right, the preference is what? If we have different subshells in the same orbit, the removal of electron will be happening in this order. So first we will remove F electrons if there are, then D, then P, then S. This is the order of removal of electron. So here there is no F. We have to remove electron from the D, which means what? Remove one electron from the 3d10 arrangement, it will become what? It will become 3d9. So what is it? The inside part as it is, it will be argon and it will be what? 3d9. So that will be the arrangement of electronic arrangement of the copper 2 plus. So what is the correct answer for this? It is option D. So this will be the electronic configuration of the copper 2 plus ion. So when we are giving the electronic configuration of cations, right? So what we must do, we must first write down the electronic configuration of the respective atom, and then we will start removing electrons from the outermost shell onwards. So that is how we are going to find the electronic configuration of the cations. So this is the question based on the nodes. So when we look at the quantum mechanical model of the atom, where the electron is represented in the form of an electron wave, we talk about the shapes of these orbitals. So orbitals are basically the regions where the probability of finding the electron wave is maximum. Okay, so the shapes of the orbitals will give rise to two kinds of nodes. So one is what we call as a radial node or a spherical node, that is one type of nodes. Okay, and the other one is angular nodes, which are also called as planar nodes. Okay, so here the question is about finding the angular nodes, the number of angular nodes of the 4p orbital. So generally when we look at the p orbital, right, so it will be what? It will be having a double shape. Okay, so for a p orbital, like say this is let's just assume this is what the px, this is the py, this is the pz. Okay, because we can see that here the lobes are along the x-axis, here the lobes are along the y-axis, here the lobes are along the z-axis. That is why we call them as px, py and pz. Okay, so here the plane that you can draw, which basically passes through the joint between the two lobes. If you think of the lobes like this, right, so this is where we have the nucleus. Through this region, right, if you draw a plane, the plane will not cut the lobes, so it will not be able to cut the lobes. Okay, so throughout the plane, the probability of finding the electron wave, okay, will be equal to what? It will be 0. So this plane we call it as the nodal plane. Okay, which is also called as a planar node. And since it pertains to orientation, because we can see that here what is this? For the px orbital, the nodal plane is what? It is the yz plane or the zy plane. Okay, it pertains to orientation. Okay, that is why it is also called as the angular node. Okay, so for any p orbital, whether we are talking about a 2p orbital or a 3p orbital or a 4p orbital, what is the number of planar nodes? It will be equal to 1. So the empirical formula, I am assuming we will be able to remember that also. The angular nodes or planar nodes for an orbital, right, are given by the azimuthal quantum number L. Means for the s orbitals, what will be the angular nodes? S orbital will have a spherical distribution, symmetric distribution. They will not have any angular nodes. That's why for them, right, what is the azimuthal quantum number value? 0. That's why they will have 0 angular nodes. P means L is equal to 1. D means L is equal to 2. So there we'll have 2 angular nodes. F means L is equal to 3. There we'll have 3 angular nodes, like that. Okay, so the number of angular nodes is given by the empirical formula L. Okay, radial nodes or spherical nodes, for that also we have an empirical formula. What is it? It will be n minus L minus 1. N is the principal quantum number, L is the azimuthal quantum number. So the radial nodes will be given by what? N minus L minus 1. If you add both of them, right, if you add both of them, what we'll see? That plus L minus will be cancelled. So that will be equal to what? N minus 1. So N minus 1 is what? The empirical formula for the total number of nodes. N minus 1 is the empirical formula for the total number of nodes. So these formulae we have to remember, so that any question on this, right, we will be able to answer it. So what is the answer for this one? It's a question that we can answer if you are able to remember these empirical formulae. So it is option A, which is just 1. So 4p orbital will be having 1 angular node or 1 planar node. Next, this is a question on the isoelectronic species. So what is it? among the following groupings, which represents the collection of isoelectronic species? So these kind of questions, right, we have to work it out with a little bit more patience. Why? Because it is like, we have to go through each and every option. Like even in some of the previous questions also, right, we have seen this model. They will ask which of them will be following the trend, which of them does not follow the trend, which means, in those kind of questions, it is like, 4 questions put into one. So we have to go through each and every option and then analyze. So we don't have any other choice. So we have to just go one by one. So we'll start with option A. What is there in option A? NO plus. See, isoelectronic species means what? Here we are looking at the total molecule or the ion as such. We're looking at the total molecule or ion as such. Okay. So nitrogen, what is the number of electrons of nitrogen? Total number of electrons of nitrogen is 7. Okay. So plus oxygen is what? 8. Okay. And plus means we removed one electron. So 7 plus 8 is 15, minus 1, 14. Then C2, 2 minus. 2 carbons are there. So each carbon, the number of electrons is 6. So 6 plus 6. 2 minus means what? Gain 2 electrons. Totally 14. O2 minus. Look at O2 minus means what? 2 oxygens are there. Oxygen is what? 8 plus 8, 16. Minus means it gained 1 electron, which means what? Totally it is 17. So we can see here there is a mismatch. So these questions, right, the moment we see a mismatch, we can just move on to the next option, because there is no point in checking the other one, because already we see that there is a discrepancy. Okay, now let us go to the option B. N2. N2 means what? 2 nitrogens are there, 7. Okay, C2, 2 minus, already we have seen it. What is it? 14. So nitrogen is 7. N2 means 7 plus 7, 14. Okay, then we have carbon monoxide, CO. So carbon is 6, oxygen is 8, 14. So far so good. Then we have NO. NO means what? Nitrogen is 7, oxygen is 8. Mismatch. So this is not isoelectronic combination. B also is not isoelectronic combination. Now we have to come to option C. Option C is what? CO. Already we did it, 14. Okay. NO plus. NO plus means what? Nitrogen is 7, oxygen is 8. Plus means we are removing 1 electron. So 7 plus 8 is 15. Minus 1 will be what? 14. Okay. Then Cn minus. Cn minus means what? Carbon is 6, nitrogen is 7, and minus means we add 1 electron. So 6 plus 7 is 13, 13 plus 1 will be 14. C2, 2 minus means what? 2 carbons are there, 6 and 6. 2 minus means we gain 2 electrons. Totally what is it? 6 plus 6, 12, 12 plus 2, 14. So overall what do we see? All the species are having 14 electrons. So we got our answer. All of them are having how many electrons? 14 electrons. Now we can even check the other one. Now that we are just practicing the questions, right? We can even check the other option, because the way we will approach solving question when it is an examination is going to be definitely different from the way we are approaching a question when we are practicing it. Okay. So here while practicing, right, at times we will try to look at all the other options and look at various scenarios and see why something is happening and why something is not happening, because every question could have information for a different question to be formed, so that when we analyze the options, right, we will be able to get that practice also. So look at option D. What is option D talking about? NO. NO means what? Nitrogen is 7, oxygen is 8, totally 15. Okay. Cn minus, carbon is 6, nitrogen is 7, minus means it gained 1 electron. So 6 plus 7 is 13, 13 plus 1 is what? 14. So we are not seeing a match. The moment we get this, we can conclude that this is not a correct combination of isoelectronic species. But anyway, already we got our answer, right? What is it? Option C will have the isoelectronic species. Okay. Let's go to question number 6. This is about the quantum numbers. So look at it. An electron has a spin quantum number plus half. The electron is having spin quantum number plus half. We know that electrons can have spin quantum number either plus half or minus half. Okay, there is not much information that we know from this statement. Why? Because spin quantum number of an electron can be either just plus half or minus half, because there are only 2 possible assigned values, isn't it? And magnetic quantum number minus 1. This is important. So the electron is having magnetic quantum number minus 1. It cannot be present in, they're asking, it cannot be present in d orbital, f orbital, p orbital, s orbital. Here spin quantum number is not much of use to us. Okay, the only thing that we have to be focusing on is what? The magnetic quantum number. So magnetic quantum number is -1. See, magnetic quantum number values will depend upon what? Azimuthal quantum number. If azimuthal quantum number is equal to 0, if azimuthal quantum number is 0, then magnetic quantum number can only have one value, which is 0. If azimuthal quantum number is 1, then magnetic quantum number can have what all values? -1, 0, +1. If azimuthal quantum number is 2, magnetic quantum number can have what all values? -2, -1, 0, +1, +2. If azimuthal quantum number is 3, then magnetic quantum number can have what all values? -3, -2, -1, 0, +1, +2 and +3. So what is the bottom line here? When we look at this, is what? This is representing S, this is representing what? P, this is representing D, this is representing F. Okay, so here also m-1 possible, here m-1 possible, here m-1 possible. The only place where m-1 is not possible is the s orbital, because for the s orbital the magnetic quantum number will be fixed. What is it? M equal to 0. P orbitals, right? We'll have three types of p orbitals: px, py and pz. Okay, so px, py and pz. For one of them the magnetic quantum number will be -1, for the other it will be 0, for the other one it will be +1. For the d orbital we'll have 5 d orbitals are there. Magnetic quantum numbers are either -1, -2, 0, +1, +2. Okay. F orbitals, magnetic quantum number can be having values -3 or -2, -1, 0, +1, +2, +3. So which electron cannot be having this magnetic quantum number -1? That is the electron in the s orbital, because for the electron in the s orbital magnetic quantum number value is already fixed. What is it? M can be only having one value, that is 0, because magnetic quantum number values will depend upon the azimuthal quantum number. Okay, so what is the answer for this? It is option D, s orbital. Next we will go to a question which is based on the rules of electronic configuration. So Aufbau principle. So while writing the electronic configuration we will follow this Aufbau principle, n plus L rule. While filling electrons into the subshells, while filling electrons into degenerate orbitals, we will follow the Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. Okay, so probably we'll have a question on that also, we'll see. So which electronic configuration does not follow the Aufbau rule? What is Aufbau rule? When we are filling electrons, we have to fill one subshell completely in the increasing order of energy. So here now we'll remember this order, right? So we'll have this 1s, 2s, 2p, 3s, 3p, 3d, 4s, 4p, 4d, 4f. So first we will fill the 1s, then we will fill 2s. Okay, so then 2p, then 3s, then 3p, 4s. After filling 4s we will come to 3d. So what is the order? 1s, 2s, 2p, 3s, 3p. After 3p, not 3d, after 3p what is it? 4s. After 4s it will be 3d. Like that we have the order. Okay, anyway, the question is around which of these configurations does not follow the Aufbau rule. So Aufbau rule basic point is what? The electrons will be filled in the increasing order of these subshells. And one more point is we have to fill, like say first we have to completely fill 1s, then we'll go to 2s, then we have to completely fill 2s, then we'll go to 3s, like that. We have to completely fill the previous subshell, then we'll go to the next subshell. Look at option A. What is it? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. So 1s we filled, then 2s we filled, 2p we filled. No problem with that. Okay. Look at option B. What is option B saying? 1s2. What is option B? It is 1s2, 2s2, 2p4, 3s2. See, P subshell will have how much capacity? 6 electrons capacity. But we are only partially filling it. After filling 4 electrons, we are going and filling the next subshell. This is not following the Aufbau rule, because Aufbau rule means what? First we have to fill the 2p subshell completely, then we will go to 3s. So we got our answer. What is it? The one that does not follow the Aufbau rule is what? Option B. In fact, we can check option D, option C and D also. C is what? 1s2 straight, not much issue with that. D is what? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. So we are completely filling each of the subshells. After that, we are filling 3s3. What is the problem with this? What is the problem with this 3s3? This is not disobeying off-bow rule. This is in fact disobeying which rule? It is disobeying the Pauli's exclusion principle. Why? Because Pauli's exclusion principle limits what is the capacity of the orbitals, and once we limit the capacity of orbitals, we also will know what is the capacity of the subshells. So here the 3s subshell will only have one orbital, means the capacity of electrons is what? 3s will have a capacity of 2 electrons. What is the capacity of 3s? It is 2 electrons. But here, we are filling how many electrons into 3s? We are filling 3 electrons. So this is not disobeying the off-bow rule. This is in fact disobeying what? This is disobeying Pauli's exclusion principle. Okay, because it is disobeying the limit that is kept. The Pauli's exclusion principle states what? No two electrons in an atom can have same values for all the 4 quantum numbers, which means the electrons in an orbital, they will be anyway having same magnetic quantum number, same azimuthal quantum number, same principal quantum number. The only difference will be coming in terms of the spin quantum number. So spin quantum number, it can have 2 possible values, either plus half or minus half assigned values. So which means what? The maximum number of electrons in an orbital will be just 2. That limits. So Pauli's exclusion principle limits what is the capacity of the orbital. And if you are limiting the capacity of orbital, means we will know S subshell will only have one orbital. So S subshell will have 2 electrons capacity. P subshell will have 3 orbitals, means capacity will be what? 3 into 2, 6 electrons. D subshell will have 10 electrons capacity. How it comes? There are 5 orbitals, 5 into 2 will be what? 10. F subshell will be having a capacity of 14 electrons. How it comes? F subshell will be having 7 orbitals. 7 into 2 will be equal to what? 14. Okay, so this is the approach. So what is the appropriate answer for this question? It is option B. Okay. Next we'll go to another question based on this quantum numbers based analysis. Choose the correct statement among the following. So we have to choose what is the correct statement among the following. So look at this. The number of orbitals in the nth shell is given by n square. Here we have some empirical formulae. So if you look at the first shell, right? First shell will only have the S subshell. S subshell will be having one orbital. So total count is what? 1. Second orbit will have S subshell and P subshell. Okay, S subshell is 1 orbital, P subshell 3 orbitals. Totally what is it? 4. Third orbit it will have S, P and D. S subshell will have 1 orbital, P will have 3, D will have totally 5. Totally what is it? 1 plus 3 is 4, 4 plus 5, 9. If you go to the fourth, there will be S, there will be P, there will be D, there will be F. S will have 1 orbital, P will have 3 orbitals, D will have 5 orbitals, F will have 7. Count them. 1 plus 3 is what? 4, 4 plus 5 is 9, 9 plus 7 will be 16. So what we see is that the number of orbitals in a orbit with a principal quantum number n, which we call as the nth shell, the number of orbitals, right? So what is the number of orbitals? Number of orbitals will be given by what? What is the empirical formula? We'll see. Here it is what? 1 square. Here it is what? 2 square. Here it is what? 3 square. Here it is what? 16 means 4 square. So what is it? It will be n square. And that is the reason why the capacity of electrons, right? Because each orbital will be having how many electrons? 2 electrons. So capacity of electrons will be what? 2 times of this. That is how the empirical formula comes. Okay. So by the way, we are looking for what? The correct statement among the following. So which means we got our answer. Option A itself. So if it's a question in the examination, right, we would move on, provided we are confident with our approach. So what is the answer? The number of orbitals in the nth shell. What is it going to be? It will be equal to what? N square. So these formulae, right? So we'll call them as what? Empirical formulae. Okay, so they will basically satisfy the the relations we see, like even in the spectral studies, right? The Lyman series formula, Balmer series formula, Paschen series formula, Brackett series formula, Fund series formula. So we'll call them as what? Empirical formulae, because they will satisfy the experimental data. Now, because we are anyway doing a practice session, right? We can even look at the other options. What are the other options? Look at option B. What is option B telling us? The number of orbitals in a subshell is a 2l minus 1. Number of orbitals in a subshell. So look at it. So first we will start with the S subshell. S subshell L is 0. Okay. So what is the number of orbitals? 1. Okay. Then P subshell. L is equal to 1. What is the number of orbitals? 3. D subshell. L is equal to 2. What is the number of orbitals? 5. So you can check it. Is it satisfying 2L minus 1 formula? So 2 into 0 minus 1. It must be minus 1. Here 2 into 1 minus 1. It should be 1. Here 2 into 2 minus 1. It should be 3. Actually the number of orbitals, right, in a particular subshell is not 2L minus 1. It is rather 2L plus 1. You can check. So 2L plus 1 means what? Here we will be having 2 into 0 plus 1, which is 1. Here we will be having 2 into 1 plus 1, which is 3. 2 into 2 plus 1, which is 5. So the correct relation is what? It is not 2L minus 1, it is 2L plus 1. Okay. Look at option C. The number of subshells in the nth shell is n minus 1. See, subshells means what? So if you look at the first shell, in that what is the number of subshells? We will have just one subshell, which is S. Okay. Second shell we will have S and P. Third we have S, P, D. Fourth we are having what? S, P, D, F. So one by one it will increase. So what is the number of subshells? So here it is 1, here it is 2, here it is what? 3, here it is 4. So what is the number of subshells? It is nothing but n. Number of subshells in the nth shell, what is it? It is not n minus 1, it is rather n. Okay. So this is also not correct. Look at option D. What is option D? The number of electrons in an orbital of a subshell is 2 into 2l plus 1. So number of electrons in an orbital of a subshell. So this statement, right? So what is it essentially referring to? If you have orbital of a subshell, right? Orbital will be belonging to the particular subshell. Orbital, any orbital you take, whether you take an s orbital or a p orbital or a d orbital or a f orbital. What is the capacity of electrons for any orbital? It is 2 electrons. That comes from the Pauli's exclusion principle, right? That is not related to any other things. In an orbital, the capacity is what? 2 electrons. So this is also incorrect. So what is the correct one among them? Option A is correct. What is it? The number of orbitals in the nth shell is given by what? N square. And total number of electrons capacity will be given by what? 2n square formula. Next we have a question related to the ionization, and losing of electrons will be called as ionization. So here we can see what is it called as? It is going to be called as what? Ionization. And gaining of electrons, what is it? It is the gain of electrons. It is becoming an anion by gaining electrons. Okay, so look at this. There are two processes. What is process 1? What is process 1? The gaseous X atom is gaining 3 electrons. Observe this carefully. Gaseous X atom is gaining 3 electrons to form what? The 3 minus charge anion. Okay. Process 2 is what? Gaseous X atom is losing 3 electrons to form 3 plus cation, gaseous cation. Which of the following is not changed during the process? See, when an atom is losing or gaining electrons, okay, nothing is going to be happening for the nucleus. The exchange is only in terms of electrons that are revolving around the nucleus. Okay, so the number of electrons will change. Obviously the number of electrons will be changing. Okay, if it is losing 3 electrons means what? The normal atom Neutral atom, right? Number of electrons is what? Z. Atomic number. If it is losing 3 electrons means after loss, right? What will be the remaining number of electrons? It will be Z minus 3. If you are gaining 3 electrons means what will be the final count of electrons? It will be Z plus 3, like that. Okay, that is what we will be able to observe. But here they are asking which of the following is not changed. That is what we need to find. We need to find which of them is not changed. Okay, so look at this. A is what? Total number of protons. Remember, nothing is going to happen to the nucleus, which means what? The number of protons is going to be remaining the same. Option B is what? Total number of neutrons. The neutrons also is not going to be changing, which means what? The correct answer is what? Option C. Both A and B. Total number of protons will not change. Total number of neutrons will not change. But what is going to change? The number of electrons is going to be changing. The total number of electrons is going to be changing. Okay, so this is what happens when you are forming ions. When we form a cation, number of electrons will be getting reduced. When we form an anion, number of electrons will be getting increased. But nothing is going to happen to the protons and neutrons which are there inside the nucleus. Next we look at question number 10. What is it? The configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p5, 3s1 shows. So it represents what? That is the question. See, the 1s2, 2s2, 2p5, 3s1, obviously this is not following the Abbo principle. Why? Because normally, we have not filled 2p completely, because it will be what? 2p can take 6 electrons. So if we are having, what is the count of electrons here? Just check it. 2 plus 2, 4, 4 plus 5 is 9, 9 plus 1, 10. So 10 electrons. 10 electrons, what will be the arrangement we will have? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. This is the arrangement we will be having for 10 electrons. Okay. This is in fact what? This is the arrangement of the neon atom. What is it? This is the arrangement of the neon atom. Okay. Now, if we have to move one electron from the 2p level to the 3s, this is what we can call as the excitation. So if one of the electron is excited from the 2p level to 3s, then what we are going to have? 1s2, 2s2, 2p5 and 3s1. So what is it representing? It is representing the excited state of the neon. It is representing what? The excited state of the neon. So what is the correct answer for this? So I'll just erase part of it. So the total count of electrons is what? 10. So the original electronic arrangement as per the Abbo principle, what is it? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. Okay, this is what the electronic configuration of the neon. So from here we are exciting one electron from 2p level to the 3s level. That is why we are getting this. So this is what? This is nothing but it is representing the excited state of the neon. Okay, so correct answer is what? Option B. Okay, so if you look at the other excited state of fluorine atom, because fluorine totally what will be the number of electrons? 9, but here we are having number of electrons 10. Okay, ground state of fluorine atom, fluorine will have 9 electrons. Here the total count of electrons is what? 10. So we have to keep that in mind. Option A is what? Excited state of O2 minus. So this is in fact multi atomic ion. So when we'll go to chemical bonding, right, we will talk about an electronic arrangement for these type of multi-atomic species. We will call it as the molecular orbital electronic arrangement. What are we going to call it as? Molecular orbital electronic arrangement. Okay, so there we will learn about it, but here that is not relevant for us. Okay, so what is the answer for this? It is option B. That represents what? 1s2, 2s2, 2p5, 3s1 represents the excited state of the neon. Next we have a question. This is a question that has come in one of the previous years. This is a question related to what? Related to the wavelength. Wavelength means what? The wavelength of matter waves as per the de Broglie theory. Okay, so we have to find what? The wavelength of a 150 gram rubber ball moving with a velocity of 50 meter per second. So it's a straight question, right? So what is the lambda formula? H by m into v. So h is what? Planck's constant, 6.626 into 10 power minus 34 joule into second divided by mass. It is 150 grams. So we should convert this into SI unit. What is it? 150 into 10 power minus 3 kg. Into velocity is already there in the SI system. What is it? 50 meter per second. So since everything is in the SI unit, the value of lambda will be coming in what? It is going to be coming in meters. Okay, so if you are looking at it, so 10 power minus 3, it will be 10 power minus 31. Okay, so what is there in the denominator? 15 5s are, so 15 5s will be 75. So we will have denominator 7500. So look at it, 6.626 into 10 power minus 31 divided by, what is it? This is 7500. So 7500, we can write it as what? We can write it as 6.626, okay, into 10 power minus 31 divided by 75 into 10 power 2. Okay, so we can see that now this 10 power 2 also will go to the numerator. It will be what? It will become 10 power minus 2. So totally what is it? So now it is just a simplification. 6.626 divided by 75 into 10 power minus 33. Remember, no, here the value we are going to get is in terms of the meters. But if you check our options, right, all the options are in terms of what? Centimeter. All the options are in terms of what? Centimeter. Okay, so this is the value in terms of meters. How do we convert this in centimeter? We have to simply multiply by 100. Any length we have in meters means how do we get the corresponding value in centimeter? We have to multiply this by 100. So this is going to be the value in centimeters when we multiply this by 100. So multiplying by 100 means what? 6.626 into 100 is what? It will be 662.6 divided by 75 into 10 power minus 33. It will be in centimeter. So if you check it right, approximately this will be what? It will be 8.8 something. So 662.6 divided by 75 will be what? It will be close to 8.83 into 10 power minus 33 centimeter. So what is the correct answer for this? Option B. So when we have questions on this de Broglie wavelength estimation form type of model, right, we'll have a relatively straightforward approach in terms of the chemistry part of it. Okay, because the formula, whatever the formula we have, we'll be able to put it. But these questions at times will involve these little bit of multiplication, division, and the final simplification. So basic math will be involved a little bit. So we have to be careful about it. So what is the correct answer for this? It is option D, which is 8.83 into 10 to the power of minus 33 centimeters. Okay, so we have to be also careful about what is the unit they are talking. Next we have question number 12. This is a question based on the spectral studies. Okay, which transition in the hydrogen atomic spectrum will have the same wavelength? Which transition in the hydrogen atomic spectrum will have the same wavelength as the transition from n is equal to 4 to n is equal to 2 in helium plus? So first what we need to do, we will write the wavelength formula. So the Rydberg formula, right? So 1 by lambda is equal to R into, for hydrogen like species, what is the formula? R into z square into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. This is the formula, right? So which is what? 1 by lambda is equal to R into helium plus means z will be 2 square, 1 by, so here n1 will be the lower value, n2 will be the higher value, 1 by 2 square minus 1 by 4 square. So what is it? It will be what? R into 2 square means 4. This is what? 1 by 4 minus 1 by 16. Okay, so totally what is it going to be? It will be R into 4 into, if you take an LCM inside means what is it? It is going to be 3 by 16. So 4 ones are 4 threes. So what are we having? 1 by lambda is equal to 3R by 4. So we'll keep it as equation 1. We'll keep it as what? Equation 1. Now what we need to do? We have to find out which of the transition in hydrogen will be giving us the same value of lambda. Which of the transition in hydrogen will be giving us the same value for lambda? That is the question. Okay, so I mean, if you have a little bit comfortable stuff with numbers, then we can look at the options and probably even in terms of approaching, right, we can approach in an order. But otherwise we can just go with option A onwards. We can check each of them. So what we are going to do, we are going to do this crude method. So first option A is what, 1 by lambda is equal to R into, this is now hydrogen, z square will not come, 1 by 3 square minus 1 by 4 square. You can check here, the 1 by lambda will be coming different. It will not be coming as 3R by 4. Okay, we can check option B. Option B is what, 1 by lambda is equal to what, R into 1 by 2 square minus 1 by 3 square. Here also we will not have the same value. Option C, 1 by lambda is equal to R into 1 by 2 square minus 1 by 4 square. So here also it will be what, it will in fact be 3R by 16 here. Here what is it? It will be what? This is 9, this is 16. Okay, so we'll have 16 minus 9, which is 7 by 16 into 9, which is 144. So 7R by 144. So here what are we going to have? This will be 5R by 36. So these are all different values. And when we look at option D, what is option D? From n is equal to 2 to n is equal to 1. So what will be the empirical formula there? We can check it. So it will be what, 1 by lambda is equal to, we are in the hydrogen. So what is the empirical formula? I will write with a different color marker so that we can see it. So what is it? So we are checking option D. What is the formula? 1 by lambda is equal to R into 1 by 1 square minus 1 by 2 square. So what is it? R into 1 minus 1 by 4. What is 1 minus 1 by 4? 3 by 4. So you can check it. This is matching. So the wavelength for the transition n is equal to 2 to n is equal to 1 in hydrogen, right, will be having the same value as that of the n is equal to 4 to n is equal to in helium plus. So what is the correct answer for this? It is option D. So as I said, right, if you are having little bit more comfort in terms of numbers, you can, by looking at this itself, right, we will know that there should be some, if you have n is equal to 4, n is equal to 3, we see that the denominators will be coming different. Denominator should be what, 4. For 1 by lambda value, the denominator should be what, 4. So accordingly, we will be able to start checking the options also. Okay, so the correct answer for this is what, option B. Next, we have another question based on the spectral studies. What is it? This is a question that has come in the previous year again. In hydrogen atomic spectrum, series limit is found at 12,186.3 centimeter inverse. So what is the series limit? Basically, series limit here is given in terms of the wave number or 1 by lambda. Series limit is given in terms of wave number or 1 by lambda. Okay, now series limit means what? For any series, whether we have the Lyman series or Balmer series or Paschen or bracket, so we have the formula for this wave number, right? So wave number 1 by lambda will be equal to what? R into, we're talking about the hydrogen and hydrogen like spectrum. Okay, so 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. So depending upon the series, n1 will be changing. n1 is equal to 1 for the Lyman, n1 is equal to 2 for the Balmer, n1 is equal to 3. So this is the Lyman. So what is the first one? This is the Lyman series. This is the Balmer. Okay, n1 is equal to 3 for the Paschen, n1 is equal to 4 for the bracket, n1 is equal to 5 for the fund. Okay, the value of n2, if the value of n2 is equal to infinity, that represents what? In any series, that represents what we call as the series limit. That represents what? Series limit. Okay, so they are giving us, and by the way, what is R? R is the Rydberg constant. What is the Rydberg constant value? It will be approximately, so 1,09,677 or 678 centimeter inverse. What is the value of Rydberg constant? 1,09,677, or we can take it 678 also. Okay, so when we round it off, so what is the scenario here? We are looking at the series limit, means whichever series we are talking about, right, The value of n2 is fixed here. N2 is what? N2 will be infinity. Okay, so now what we'll do is we are given the value of the series limiter. What is the value of series limit here given to us? It is given as 12,186.3 centimeter inverse. That is given to us. So look at it, what we are going to do. So as per this empirical formula for the wave number, which is 1 by lambda, what is the formula we have? R into 1 by lambda wave number. 1 by lambda is equal to what? R into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. Okay, here series limit means n2 is fixed. Means what? 1 by infinity square. So overall, what do we see? Series limit is equal to what? R by n1 square. Series limit is equal to what? R by n1 square. Okay, so here this wave number is given. R we know. We have to find n1 from here. So wave number is given to us. What is it? 12,186.3. Okay, this is in terms of centimeter inverse. And remember the Rydberg constant. What is it? 1,09,677.76. Okay, we can even approximate it, but that is okay. So here we'll take it as what? 1,09,677.76. So this is also in terms of centimeter inverse. Both sides the unit will be cancelled. So here we have to get the, so from here, right, what we will be having? N1 square will be equal to what? 1,09,677.76 divided by 12,186.3. So this is the value of n1 square. If you look at n1 square, right, n1 square, I mean, because n1 must be a proper integer. So we're talking about what? The principal quantum number values, right? So n1 is going to be what? Coming as proper integer. Even if you do the calculation, if it is coming close to integer, we will have to take that closer integer value. Okay, so if you do the division, right, this is what? This is approximately, we can see 12 nines are what? 108. So we'll see that no, the approximate value for this in terms of a proper, because n1 square should be a proper square. So n1 square will be approximately equal to what? 9. n1 square is 9 means n1 is equal to what? 3. n1 3 means what? Already we discussed. n1 is equal to 1 means Lyman series. n1 is equal to 2 means Balmer series. n1 3 means what? Paschen series. Okay, so it's a question where we are just taking that empirical formula for the wave number and proceeding in terms of finding out what is the n1 value. Next we have a question based on the Bose model. So Bose model will give us the derived values for the velocity of electron in orbit. What is the formula? 2.18 into 10 to the power of 6 meter per second. So we have an factor here. What is the factor? Z by n. Depending upon whether we are talking about the hydrogen or the hydrogen like species, Z will be changing. N will be representing what? Principal quantum number. Then we have the energy relation. What is the energy relation? Minus 13.6 electron volt into Z square by n square. So here we can see the factor for energy will be square of the factor for the velocity. Okay. Then we have the radius, of course the important one. So radius will be equal to what? It will be equal to 52.9 picometer into the radius factor will be n square by z. In fact, quite a number of years we got questions asked on the Bose model results. So here, if you remember these formulae, right, these kind of questions can be asked, answered straight away. What is it? The velocity of electron in second shell of hydrogen. Hydrogen means what? Straight away we are fixing z is equal to 1 because it is hydrogen. Second shell means what? N is equal to 2. Now since we don't require the energy and radius, let us just erase that part. So we'll just erase both of them. So we'll erase the energy and radius empirical expressions. Now what are we having? We are just having the velocity expression. So what is it? 2.18 into 10 power 6 meter per second into z by n. So look at this. 2.18 into 10 power 6. Z is 1 because it is hydrogen. N is 2. The value should be in terms of meter per second. So what is it? If you just look at it, it will be like what? 1.09 into 10 power 6 meter per second. So check where is the approximate answer. It is option D. Because in this we have taken the 2.18 in 10 power 6. We have taken the value up to 2 decimal places. Okay, but they are giving the answer up to what? 3 decimal places. So what is the correct answer for this? It is what? Option D. So 1.094 into 10 power 6 meter per second. So we just have to remember these derived results from the Bohr's model. The result for the velocity, the result for the radius, and result for the energy. Next we have another question that is based on the de Broglie wavelength. So here it's a different situation. De Broglie wavelength associated with a ball of mass 1 kg having kinetic energy 0.5 joules. So here normally what is the de Broglie wavelength formula we have? Lambda will be equal to h by mass into velocity. But here the velocity is not given. Instead what is given? Kinetic energy is given. See, momentum, right? Mass into velocity can be also written as what? Root of 2mk. K represents what? Kinetic energy. How? So root 2 into m into what is kinetic energy? Half mv square. So we can see 2 and half is cancelled. It is what? Root of m square v square. Means what is it? mv only, no? So in case of the de Broglie wavelength, we can have an alternative formula. What is it? Root 2mk, where m represents mass of the object and k represents its kinetic energy. So look at this. What are we having? H is what? 6.626 into 10 power minus 34 joule into second. That is the numerator, Planck's constant. Divide by root 2 into everything we will take in the SI unit. Mass is what? 1 kg into kinetic energy is what? 0.5 joules. So 2 into 0.5 is what? 1. Totally what is the denominator? Root 1 means 1, it is simply. Since we have taken everything in the SI system, the lambda will be coming in which unit? Meters. So what is it? 6.626 into 10 power minus 34 meters. That's it. So what is the answer for this? Option A will be the answer. Here we are using alternative formula for the de Broglie wavelength. What is it? Instead of expressing it in terms of the mass and velocity, we are expressing it in terms of mass and kinetic energy. What is the formula? Lambda will be equal to h by root 2m kinetic energy. Okay. We'll move on to the next question. This is a question based on the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Okay, so this is also a question that has come in one of the previous years. The uncertainties in the velocities of two particles. So particles A and B are given to us. What are the uncertainties in their velocities? 0.05, 0.02 respectively. Okay, the mass of B is 5 times that of mass of A. Means what is the mass of B? It is 5 times heavier than mass of A. What are we supposed to find? We are supposed to find the ratio of delta XA by delta XB. What is delta XA meaning? It is the uncertainty in the position of A. Delta XB meaning what? It is the uncertainty in the position of B. We have to find the ratio of these two. We have to find the ratio of uncertainty in their positions. So how are we going to solve it? We will have to first go and check the Heisenberg's uncertainty relation. What is it? If you have delta X as the uncertainty or error value in the measurement of the position, and delta V is the uncertainty or the error value in the measurement of velocity, then del X into delta V, generally we will say it as what? Greater than or equal to h by 4 pi m. Okay, actually the original formula will be in terms of delta X and delta P. Delta X and delta P will be more than or equal to h by 4 pi. Delta P, since mass for the particle if it is given, right? So delta P can be written as what? Mass times delta V. So mass times delta V will be greater than or equal to h by 4 pi. So the m can go to the other side, denominator. So this is the formula we will have in terms of the uncertainty in the position and velocity. Okay, what is it? Delta X into delta V should be more than or equal to h by 4 pi m. But here when we are considering the limiting case, we will take the equality. Okay, so delta X into delta V is equal to what? H by 4 pi m. From here what will be the delta X value? We will take this delta V also to the RHS. It will go to the denominator. So we can see what is delta X value. It is h by 4 pi m into delta V. What is it? Is it h by 4 pi m into delta V? Okay, now what are we supposed to find? We are supposed to find what is the ratio of the delta XA to the delta XB. Okay, so let us just write it down. No, So here delta xa means what? H by 4 pi m. So if we take the mass of A is equal to m, what is the uncertainty in the velocity of A? It is 0.05. So look at this. For the A, delta xa will be equal to what? H by 4 pi into 0.05 into m. For B, delta xb will be equal to what? H by 4 pi. Here what is the uncertainty in the velocity? 0.02 into what about the mass? Look at the mass statement. The mass of B is 5 times to that of the mass of A. Means if we take the mass of A as m, right? Anyway, why are we introducing a variable here? This is a new variable, isn't it? This is a new variable. No, why are we introducing it? Because we know anyway we are going to take a ratio only, right? It will get cancelled. So if you take the mass of A as m, what will be the mass of B? It will be equal to 5m. Okay, so this is delta x, this is delta xb. What are we going to find here? We are going to take the ratio. If you take a ratio, means look at it, what is going to happen? H by 4 pi will be cancelled. M is cancelled. Okay, so now this ratio will be like what? So 1 by 0.05 divided by 1 by 0.02 into 5 means what? This will go to the numerator. So what is it? 0.02 into 5 by 0.05. This is like what? If you have A by B divided by C by D, what is it going to be? It will be equal to what? A into D by B into C. D will go to the numerator. Okay, so it is what? 0.02 into 5. Okay, so if you multiply both numerator and denominator by 100, then what is the numerator? You multiply by 100 means what you are going to have? So multiply by 100. This is 0.02 into 100 is what? 2. 2 5s are 10. 0.05 into 100, what is it? 5. Okay, why are we multiplying by 100? Because instead of having decimal places, if you have integer means it will be easy to comprehend the division calculations. So here we can see clearly what is it? 5 1s are, 5 2s are. So what is the answer? The ratio delta xa by delta xb, right? What is the ratio of the uncertainties in the position? It is nothing but 2, which is option A. So here in this question, what are we doing? We are just representing the formula from the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, and based on whatever the condition they are given, like here they are giving us what the condition in terms of the mass relation. They are saying mass of B is 5 times mass of A. That relation we are using and getting what is the ratio of the uncertainties in the position. Okay. Next we have question number 17. This is a question related to the quantum numbers. The proper set of 4 quantum numbers for the valence electrons of rubidium. So rubidium, they are giving us the atomic number. What is the atomic number given to us? 37. We need to find what is the proper set of 4 quantum numbers for the valence electrons of rubidium. So rubidium 37 electrons, right? So first we should write what is the electronic configuration. So we have to write the electronic configuration as per the Aufbau principle, increasing order of energy of subshells. So look at this, 1s will have 2 electrons, then 2s will have 2 electrons, then 2p will have 6 electrons, totally 10 are over. Okay, then 3s will have 2 electrons, then 3p will have 6 electrons. After 3p we will not fill 3d, we will fill what? 4s. So another 10 are over. So 10 10 20, we have 37. Okay, after 4s comes 3d. 3d will pick up 10 electrons. Here another 10 gone. Now how much is remaining? 7 are remaining. After 3d comes 4p. 4p will have 6 electrons. After 4p will come 5s. 5s will have 1 electron. So this is the total. So 6 plus 1 is what? 7. 37. This is the electronic arrangement of element with atomic number 37. That is of course the rubidium. Okay. Now we need to find what is the set of 4 quantum numbers for the valence electrons of rubidium. So what is the valence electrons meaning? It is the outermost electrons, right? Outermost shell electrons, which is the 5th shell. Means what about the principal quantum number 5? It is in the S subshell. Azimuthal quantum number is what? 0. S subshell will only have one orbital. For that the magnetic quantum number is also fixed. M is 0. Now which means what? Principal quantum number 5. Azimuthal quantum number 0. Magnetic quantum number is what? 0. Spin quantum number can have 2 possible values, either plus half or minus half. Now what we do is we will first check which of these options is having N5, L0, M0. You can check only one of them. N is 5, M is 0, L is 0. Okay. and in that we have to verify whether the spin quantum number is having permissible value or not. Here we can see that what is the spin quantum number value? It is plus half, means what? Permissible. So the correct answer is what? Option D. Principal quantum number is 5, azimuthal quantum number is 0 because it is the s subshell, then magnetic quantum number is 0 because the s subshell will only have one orbital, for that the magnetic quantum number will be fixed 0, and again spin quantum number is having a permissible value of plus half. Next we have a question based on the quantum theory. So not the quantum mechanical model of the atom, so the Planck's quantum theory. Okay, the radiation of wavelength 200 nanometer is absorbed by an atom which emits radiations during de-excitation. It's emitting how many radiations? 2 radiations. If one of the radiation is emitted having a wavelength of 300 nanometer, what is the other wavelength? Means what are we supposed to find? We are supposed to find what is the other wavelength. So look at it. No. So if an atom is there, okay, so it is absorbing a particular radiation. What is the wavelength? 200 nanometer. Means what is the energy it is absorbing? H into C by lambda, which is 200 nanometer. That is the energy absorbed. De-excitation is giving the energy out in 2 radiations. One of them is having wavelength 300, so Hc by 300 nanometer. The other one is the unknown. That will carry how much energy? Hc by lambda. If you do the energy balance right, the total energy that is being absorbed will be emitted out. Okay, in the form of course 2 radiations. So total energy emitted is equal to total absorbed. So we can see on both sides Hc will be cancelled. So we will bring this 1 by 300 to the LHS. So what you are having? 1 by 200 minus 1 by 300 is equal to 1 by lambda. What is it? If you take an LCM, what is LCM? 600, right? So it will be what? 3 minus 2 by 600 is equal to 1 by lambda, which means what? 1 by 600. So what are we having? 1 by 600 is equal to 1 by lambda, means from here lambda will be equal to what? 600. Of course the unit is going to be nanometers. So what is the answer for this? It is option A. So how are we using it? How are we solving this question? The energy absorbed, the quantum energy absorbed will be equal to what? Hc by lambda or h into nu. If you have frequency, means every packet or quanta will have how much energy? It will have energy of h nu. Okay, the energy absorbed is equal to energy released. That is the concept we are using. Okay, we'll move on to the question number 19. This is about again quantum numbers. The number of electrons in the highest principal energy level of iron. Iron atomic number is given as what? 26. So first, to answer these kind of questions, right, we must write down the electronic arrangement. So for an element with atomic number 26, what will be the electronic configuration? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, then 3s2, 3p6. Already we can just check. So 10 are over. 3s2, 3p6 means 8 are over. Okay, so totally 18. Then after 3p we will fill 4s. 4s will fill 2 electrons. Then comes 3d. 3d will be having 6 electrons. Check it. So here again 8. So 10 plus 8 is 18. 18 plus 8 is what? 26. So this is the arrangement. So what is the highest principal energy level? Means the outermost shell. What is it? The outermost shell. Highest principal energy level. So what does this mean? Highest principal energy level will mean what? It is the 4s level. Okay, the fourth level, basically the fourth orbit. So in fourth orbit, how many electrons are? That is the question they are asking. The number of electrons in the highest principal energy level. In the fourth orbit, we have only electrons filling into 4s subshell. What is the number of electrons here? 2. So what is the answer for this? Option D. In the highest principal energy level, we have just 2 electrons. Next we have a question which is again based on the electronic configuration. So look at this. The number of p electrons in bromine atom. So we need to find what is the number of p electrons in a bromine atom. Again, we have to write down the electronic configuration. Okay, so for here, right, bromine, we should also know what is the atomic number. Okay, so then only we can answer this question. Otherwise there are also other methods to answer this question. First I'll tell you method that we can use based on the periodic table. So in the next chapter, right, we'll talk about the position of elements in the periodic table. Okay, so if you look at it, bromine belongs to which group? It belongs to the halogen family. So fluorine, chlorine, then comes below bromine. Okay, so fluorine will have, that is where you will be fluorine. What is the arrangement? 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. So it will have 5 electrons in the p subshell. Chlorine will be having 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p5. So the 2p level is filled, and then 3p will be having 5 electrons. Then bromine case will be what? 2p we would have filled, 3p is also filled, then 4p we would have filled 5 electrons. So thereby what is it? Here 6 plus 6 plus 5, totally what is it? 17. So when in 17th group, right, first element will have how many p electrons? 5. Second electron, 5 plus 6, what is it? 11. Third element, 11 plus 6, what is it? 17. Next, after bromine comes iodine. What is it? 17 plus 6, it will be what? 23. After iodine comes astatine. 23 plus 6, 29. So that is how, when we go one level below, we will be adding one more p subshell, right? So we will be adding plus 6 plus 6. Okay, otherwise, we can also answer the question if we are not having that periodic table, because we will have to look at answering questions from the point of view where we will have the overview of all the chapters together. Okay, but we can also answer the question if we just go by the electronic configuration. Bromine, the atomic number is 35. Okay, so 35, what will be the arrangement? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d10. Okay, 3d10, then 4p5. So look at it. So 10, another 10, 20, 30, 35. Okay, so number of electrons in the p. So here we have 6 electrons, 6 electrons, 5 electrons. Totally what is it? 6 plus 6 is 12, 12 plus 5 is what? 17. So this way also we can answer. So our correct answer is what? Option D, which is 17 electrons. So this is what we have for work session on the atomic structure or structure of atom chapter. And what you can do is you can also take a look at the past year questions from this topic, so that you will get some complete idea of what are all the models of question that are being focused when it comes to the previous year examinations.